Chris.
You haven't said a great deal about the United States of America or NATO. Has not the US policy in the past always been to try to force the European Union, as far as possible, to make the boundaries of the EU conterminous with those of NATO? And has not that been why the United States has had a particular interest in both the EU, which is none of its business actually, and NATO, which is part of its business? That's one thing. Do you think that's relevant anymore? Second question about that. I was on the Select Committee in 1974 when it was quite clear that the Treaty of Guarantee combined with the Treaty of Establishment was so vague that Mr. Callaghan could interpret it as only a guarantee that they'd have a few words with Echebit before the invasion began. I mean, it only guaranteed talking, it didn't guarantee doing. Now, don't you think the word guarantee, if this polyglot, trilingual SBA is going to have Turks and Greeks and Brits in it permanently, would need redefining and saying exactly what guaranteeing meant?
Yes, and one thing guarantee could not mean, and this is a view of Turkish Cypriots that I've met as well as Greek Cypriots, is guaranteeing of the constitution. If Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots both decide that they want to revise any constitutional arrangements, they should do so, or be able to do so without the being subject to the approval of Turkey, Greece and Britain. I would like to make a distinction. The guarantee that I am suggesting would be from the European Union, not from Greece, Turkey and Britain. The only role of the SBAs would be under the third hypothesis that I put forward, which is by far the least likely of the three hypotheses, and that would be through the Treaty of Alliance, and it would be that there would be small British, Greek and Turkish contingents available to the European Union commander should these be required. I do not think they would be required. I genuinely believe that from the moment Turkish troops and Greek troops under Turkish and Greek command leave Cyprus, Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots have now reached the stage of maturity where they will be able, as they were not able in 1960, to run the country successfully. I really believe that. And I believe that on the basis of a lot of contact with Greek and Turkish Cypriots.
Olivia.
Well, I would like to come back to the point that was made by Professor Kirkstone, where you asked about the Greek Cypriot reaction. And I'm more wondering about the Turkish reaction to this, because we're assuming that the Turkish contingent that will be based on the British bases, and we would be assuming that a contingent from a country that's not even a member state of the European Union would be comfortable enough to come under EU command. And I mean, is that feasible, knowing how the Turkish military works? And
the
second part of the question, would we also need to assume that Britain would have to give part of its sovereignty on those bases to the EU?
No, definitely not. Why should you give sovereignty? The first part of the question is very good and quite correct. We don't know if anything can be sold to the Turkish military. All we know is that the Turkish military is under very considerable political pressure in Turkey now, which it was not in the past. And that is due to the awful way they handled the 2007 crisis, where they effectively got the Constitutional Court to declare that the quorum that was required was equivalent to what everybody else thought would be required to actually elect a president. But they said a quorum, that percentage of the Grand National Assembly was required for a quorum. And since then, the prestige of the political prestige of the Turkish military, it remains the symbol of the unity of Turkey for ordinary Turks, unquestionably. But the political prestige of the Turkish military has taken a serious knock. Furthermore, it has not done them any good either that it is now confirmed that in 2004, the Nokta report, Nokta was a magazine that was shut down for publishing the diary, which is now confirmed to be accurate, of the Turkish admiral, the member of the chief of the body of general staff from the Navy, who kept a diary of the attempts to prepare a coup, one of the issues of which was going to be Cyprus, which was stopped by the then Chief of General Staff, General Özkök, who stood by the then government. So we know that the Turkish military has a view on Cyprus which is extremely nationalist. And we therefore have to worry very seriously whether it will be possible, even with all the help from Britain, even with the clear self-interest of Turkey involved, whether it will be possible to get past them a settlement. Now, my talk is very much based on my knowledge and appreciation of that fact. This is a political reality, a very unpleasant political reality. I want to help Cyprus because I want Cyprus reunited. I want to help Turkey because I don't want Turkey to be excluded from Europe if this can be avoided. So, that being so, I'm playing around with ideas to see how we can marry it. But I can agree with you 100% that we cannot be sure that anything will work. We cannot be sure. We simply have to try. The next 8 months are going to be very critical in trying. As for the second thing, I don't have any worry about it whatever. I don't think that there's any effect on the sovereignty of the sovereign base areas. Greek and Turkish contingents would be guests there at the pleasure of the British. They would have to behave in accordance with British law, and they could only move out of the bases if called on by the European Union commander. That's the way I would foresee things. But I agree that the suggestion is a very dicey suggestion. I mean, I understand. Everybody picked up on it. I expected that because I know myself that it is a very questionable suggestion. But I think it's worth putting forward even questionable suggestions because I'm aware of how difficult it's going to be.
I want to just say something about the Friends of Cyprus report, which is upcoming and will be available by the end of the month in the UK, which covers a lot of the security aspects and a lot of other good things which, if you haven't had a Friends of Cyprus report before, perhaps you could fill in your name and address and pass this round. If you know that I'm going to send you one, obviously don't fill it in. I want to bring in Martin Packard, who had his hand up before, and I want to see if there are other people who want to ask questions. I mean, we can talk about Cyprus, by the way. I mean, we can talk not just about security. So if there are questions that you want to raise on other issues, Costa probably has a view on them which is worth hearing.